I'm Linda, and welcome to Crossfire Ministries Pantry. Today we're going to be doing some recipes for you using Pattypan Squash, and I wanted you to see what it looked like. It comes in a white variety or a yellow variety. It's kind of a funny shaped little squash, and sometimes we have some that look like this in the pantry. They start to turn bad because we get so many, and people don't want to take those, so I'm going to show you some things that we can do using this wonderful squash. Okay, you saw the Pattypan squash before we had done anything with it. All we had done is washed it and gotten it ready to slice. So now we're going to make Pattypan chips. And so I sliced the squash thin. In this bowl I have some breadcrumbs, I have some rosemary, salt and pepper, some Parmesan cheese, and in this bowl we have 2 eggs and 2 tablespoons of milk. So we're going to dip the sliced squash into the egg, then into the breadcrumbs, and then put them on our foil-lined pan. But first I'm going to spray the pan with some olive oil. You can use any type of oil spray that you have on hand. This happens to be one that you can just refill the container. Okay, here we go. Put these pieces in here and cover them with our egg batter, our egg mixture. Now you can also do this with any type of squash that you have, or almost any type of vegetable. You could do this with onions, you could do it with mushrooms, any type of vegetable that you have that you might not have enough for a full meal for your family. You could just take your odds and ends of vegetables and do this. They keep really nice in a Ziploc bag. You can serve them in your kids' lunches with just about anything that you have. They're very nutritious, and it's a nice way to use up the vegetables that you have. We're going to put these into a heated 425-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on them just until they get nice and golden brown. Okay, this is our second pan of our Pattypan chips, and we decided to do one pan that was foil lined and one that was not foil lined because not everybody has that extra foil around all the time. We wanted to show you what they both look like. So the final step is that we're going to spray the top of our squash pieces with our cooking spray. Okay, now we're going to go pop these in our 425-degree oven for 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to flip these chips over. Our recipe doesn't call for that, but I really think that we need to. So we're a little more than halfway through the cooking process, so we're just going to flip these chips over. Pattypan chips are done and out of the oven. We have our pan that was on our aluminum foil and the one without. And Miss Leslie's joined us. So remember that all of the recipes that we talk about we will have downstairs in our winning rack. Any recipe that you want will be down there that we've shown on our videos. So let's try some of these. Really good, huh?
Very good.
These are nice and crunchy, and so are these. Very good.
Those are good, and I think they could substitute these for chips.
Right.
And be a
Anytime.
lot more healthy.
Right, and you could add any types of herbs or spices or seasoned salt, anything you want to season them with. So,
Very, very nice.
So when you use the things that are in the pantry and you fix economical meals that are good and healthy for your family, you're on the winning team. Okay, I showed you the Pattypan squash before, after it was washed, before we actually sliced it for our recipe. The recipe that we're going to do today is called Pattypan Squash Parmesan Garlic Breadcrumb Bake. So this is what our Pattypan looks like after it's been sliced up. And I've sliced up some onion. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour 2 tablespoons of olive oil into a bag. And if you don't have a plastic bag, you can also put this into a bowl. We have half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I'm just going to kind of mix those up in the bag. We're just going to put our squash and our onion slices in the bag and toss them, and then lay them out on our foil-lined baking sheet. I'm going to put a few pieces of our squash in the bag. Just kind of toss this in here. And lay them out in our pan. I'll put a few down here so that I can lay the onion close by. I'll just throw all of it in here. This is a great dish by itself, but you could also serve it with chicken. You could put your chicken on another pan and do the exact same thing with your chicken and serve the two together. If you have some hamburger patties or any type of leftover meat, you could heat that up and serve it with this. But this makes just a great dinner or dish all by itself. Now we're going to lay some of these onions along here too. Now that we have our squash and our onions out on our foil-lined cooking sheet, we're just going to pour 1 cup of already prepared marinara sauce on the top. And every little bit doesn't have to be covered. We're using already prepared marinara. If you happen to have some homemade marinara spaghetti sauce, you can use that. You could even use some pizza sauce if you happen to have some of that left over. You could use any type of vegetables that you have to go along with this. If you have some mushrooms, and if you like a little more sauce, you could add a little more sauce. I think this is great. I don't like mine too tomatoey. Okay, now we're going to pop this into a preheated 400-degree oven for about 15 to 18 minutes. Then we're going to pull it out. We're going to put some cheese on top, put it back in for about 7 minutes, and then we're going to prepare our Parmesan breadcrumb topping for the top. So I'll see you at the oven. Okay, we're at the oven. We're going to slide this in to our oven and bake it for 15 to 18 minutes. Okay, it's time to put our cheese on top of our squash and onions. So we have a ½ cup of Parmesan cheese that we're going to sprinkle on. And then we have a full cup of grated mozzarella cheese. And this is going to cook another 7 to 10 minutes until the cheese is nice and melted. Okay, now we're doing our final step for our Pattypan Parmesan breadcrumb bake. So I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil in our pan, and I'm going to stir in 3 cloves of chopped garlic. Now, if you don't have the cloves of garlic, we happen to have them in the pantry right now. You can use garlic salt or garlic powder, or a combination of both. So we're going to let this garlic cook for just a few minutes, saute until it gets soft, 2 to 3 minutes. And then we're going to mix in our breadcrumbs and our spices and herbs. Okay, our garlic is nice and soft and ready to go. We're going to add in these are panko breadcrumbs. We're adding in some parsley, some oregano, some salt, and some pepper. We're going to mix this all up. Spread that flavor around, and then we're going to top our squash with this. And we're going to bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, this is our breadcrumbs and our squash. We're just going to sprinkle the breadcrumbs over the squash that has the cheese melted now. This just smells unbelievable. Like I said, you could do this with chicken or any other type of meat and add some of your marinara to it and serve the two together. This just makes a great dish by itself. Okay, we're going to pop this back into the oven for another 8 minutes. And then we'll be ready to serve. Our patty pan bake is completely finished, and Miss Leslie's joined us, so we're going to taste it. Doesn't it look great? Make sure you cut it.
Oh, it's so good.
It does look good.
It cuts without the knife.
It
It's
does.
wonderful.
Nice and warm.
It's still hot.
It is.
Very, very good.
You can taste the garlic and the breadcrumbs. And there aren't too many breadcrumbs on here, just enough to make it a little crunchy on top. The onion's nice and tender, the squash is great. It's really a great meal. And when you do something like this, you're on our winning team.